I mean, you specifically mentioned GRVTY as the guy you think was going to get picked up.
I'm biased.
I'm loose here.
Methods
Do it
of
for a
team
while.
challenge. You may forgive, but
Never forget. They're Activision.
I said, dude.
Who's getting dropped after an major run?
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash_Bo3 Sam. And to our farthest right per usual is none other than the Rex, ShadyNero, and boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, Stage 1 Major, the first official LAN of the Call of Duty League in Vanguard is upon us this week. And so we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on and a lot of news actually this week as well with our roster change leading in to the first major. So man, we have a lot to go over. It's gonna be a blast. Before we get any of that, guys, I gotta ask, boys, what's going on?
Well, Josh, I'm feeling like a music teacher, ready to teach the class their the do re mi fa sol la ti dos, and the classes are getting a little rowdy. I'm like, hey, settle down, everyone. Do re. And one kid in the middle of his rays puked. I think he had a peanut allergy. And it was
no.
Ooh, this is not a good situation. How do I preserve this kid's embarrassment, but also be a teacher? And then I called the principal to the room, and I decided, you know what? I only can take one. And I just told the principal. The principal came in, pulled him by the ear, took him out of class. Everyone laughed at him.
Dang.
But, you know, you win some or lose some, kid.
That's tough,
hey, man, he's getting the floor dirty. We're here to win the middle school state
music room of the
choir championship.
Of course. I mean, wow, that sounds amazing. Conducting the class, Sam, how you doing?
Fantastic.
Oh, of course.
You know,
of course.
I was sick last week. I actually had pink eye in both my eyes. Figured that out on
really?
Friday. Got some eye drops,
dude.
And the eye drops worked their magic. Like, I'm still like kind of like blurry a little bit, but like you know, like when you wake up and like your eyes like crusted over completely.
Oh,
happened in both of them.
Ooh, the crusties.
It was disgusting.
Oh,
it was disgusting.
That's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't sniff farts. Okay, listen to me.
Yeah,
right now.
I mean, that was my first thought. I was going to ask. You know, I mean, what have you and Rex been doing? You know,
no, that was my old self. I did that previously. I'm a new man. But no, I'm excited. Stage 1 is here, and I can't wait. So,
Rex, your story reminded me that like back in kindergarten, this was like the first day of kindergarten. I was so nervous for the pictures that like I puked.
Really?
I puked in
kindergarten. You're worried about the pictures?
I was so scared of the pictures of that. Like
know when picture day was.
Yeah, that I puked in the drinking fountain outside the class.
Oh, you were that kid.
Oh my gosh!
I didn't mean to. I was going
up
for a drink, and then it was. That's a down bad day in my life. But yeah,
that's
it's
insane.
tough. But we have a lot to get into today, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, we're excited to announce that we actually have our first sponsors. We'll be talking about them in a second. Prize picks. But obviously, you can listen to Apple Podcasts. You can listen on Spotify. You can watch on YouTube. You can, drop a review on Apple Podcasts. You can drop a comment on YouTube. And you can sometimes drop comments and reviews on Spotify, depending on if they've rolled that out yet. So today, do we have any comments or reviews to go through today? Sam?
We do. This one on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars.
Thanks.
Nothing less. From Kagaze?
No doubt.
And the title is simply Tactical Rap.
Oh.
We'll see how this goes. Hello, Josh. Love you and the boys. Always listen to you guys while I work. You guys should get Tactical Rap on the show as a guest.
Always.
And have him input some of his opinions as well. Would be a great podcast for sure. Keep up the great work. Unfortunately, that would mean we'd have to have more than one guest. And I think
the bigger hurdle is that we record these pods where it'd probably be like 4 a.m. for him or 5 a.m. for him. It'd probably be the bigger hurdle.
There's 2 major hurdles. Is we've only ever had one guest in 2.5 years.
And we can only record at 11 p.m.
Yeah. So we'll see though. Hey, who knows? Maybe
you never know.
Maybe we'll go for 2. Review. Thank you.
I mean, absolutely. And, Rab's the GOAT, We're going to debut a new segment today, basically, which is our prize picks of the weeks in a sense. So if you haven't heard of prize picks, before you skip some sort of like this is actually pretty lit. So prize picks is actually really cool because they came out and they're actually sponsoring the podcast and the channel as a whole and kind of partnering with us. And what they are is basically a platform to have daily picks for Call of Duty. It's actually really cool how they end up doing it. You pick 2 to 5 players and it's on an over-under basis. And so you can play the over or the under with their projections on kills on the first 3 maps of the game, of the match.
Which I think is a really cool aspect.
Yeah, 100%.
Actually, it doesn't take into the whole series. You're only concerned about the first 3 maps, no matter how they go.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty cool and a fun way to do it.
Aspect.
And so you can pick up 2 to 5 players and basically you can play, the more players you play, the bigger odds and multipliers you get for your wins. Mm-hmm. So it's actually really cool how they do it. And so you can pick the props and it's a really dope, interesting, unique way to play that while watching Call of Duty. So it's really cool. And so we'll be kind of doing our picks each week. Unfortunately, the lines normally come out during league matches a little bit later. So we'll be actually doing our picks, reacting to our picks from the previous week.
Yes.
But this week, because it's a major, since there's a bye week, the picks are already out. So there's actually some interesting ones. So Sam, if you want to be able to read off the lines that we got this week. And then also before we get into the lines, I actually want to mention that our plan is, so tweet us your picks for the week with the hashtag Bo3 picks on Twitter. And what we're going to be doing is every time you tweet us your picks, to kind of enter into a giveaway. We're going to be doing giveaways at the end of each major or at the end of each stage for people who tweet us their picks. So hashtag Bo3 picks, and that's how we'll kind of find your picks. And we'll also be shouting out the best picks from each week. So make sure to tweet at us.
You have to use our promo code.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing is that we'll get into that. But yeah, there's a promo code, Bo3 pod is the promo code. So use the promo code when you sign up, and it'll actually double your initial deposit, which is actually like a legit good deal. If you put in $30, they'll double your $30. If you put in $50, they'll double your $50, and up to $100.
So over under.
It's actually really cool. Yeah. So Sam, what are the over unders this week that they have for us as options?
All right, here we go. Strap on in, boys. Afro, and this is the first one. And so it gets me tingly, and it gets me all tingly
in all the right places.
Here we go. Maps 1 through 3 versus the Gorillas. Will Afro get over or under 61.5 kills?
The first 3 maps versus Gorillas.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. And so just read off the other players and then their over unders.
Absolutely. So second, we have ASIM, of course, versus London Royal Ravens, 58.5. So over under there.
Yeah.
Abizi, first match versus Boston Breach, 61.5. Very interesting. Nero, of course, their first match is against FaZe, 56.5. Envoy, their first match versus Ultra, 59.5.
Very interesting.
And then, of course, on Ultra side, CleanX versus Thieves, 61.5. And the last 2 here we've got is Shotzzy. Shotzzy versus the Surge, 63.5. The highest line. And then, of course, on the opposing side, we have Pred, and his line is 60.5. So some of these are very interesting.
And this is all based on just the kills that they're going to get in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So in the first 3 maps. Yep.
I really like how it's laid out in that way.
Yeah.
I think it makes it Nero versus FaZe. What was that score? Nero's versus FaZe.
Nero's is 56.5.
It's 56.5 kills. Will he get that in 3 maps against FaZe?
I don't know.
Maybe.
It's tough to say.
Is a BZ going to get 61.5 kills versus Boston Breach? I mean, probably over, but he also could guess under.
My initial thought is
make some money.
Bocage would be the potential cheat code where you're guaranteed a higher line of what kills are more possible.
Yeah.
That's kind of my first thought is there are certain teams that currently like playing Bocage more than others. So I don't know if that's already somewhat baked into the odds or not specifically, but that gets interesting. Is there any pick that specifically stand out to you?
Mine's the Abizi 61.5.
That is juicy.
He might honestly just hit that. Especially,
I'm thinking.
But it's hard though,
I'm thinking over for that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Nero and a BZ are interesting. That with like an over on a BZ and an under on Nero.
Uh-huh.
Or like you play those together and then do it that way.
Absolutely.
Breach gets one good map. He's hitting that 56.5. Like that's not as far off as you think sometimes.
Oh no, I mean like imagine like 27 kills on a hard point, which is not that rare. And then like 20 kills in an S&D, you're already at 47, or 20 kills in a control. You're already at 47. Nice. That'd be insane.
I mean, he would have to get like 16 kills.
And so then you're already at 47. So then what, 8 or 9 kills in a S&D and you're already
That's
there.
the thing too with like the first 3 maps is like they could have a killer hard point, but like if they have like an average control and then like pretty bad S&D. You know what I mean?
So it's gonna take a little bit of time to kind of learn like how you play this the best ways.
I personally think you should do like because there's a power play where like because you can pick multiple of these people. You can so all picks that you do must be correct. So if I chose Afro, Abizi, and Nero, and I chose them all to be over whatever their score lines are, every single one of those would have to be right, and then I get like quadruple times or
right,
or
10, so there's power play
something like that.
And flex play,
and that's a
so power play is if you choose if you get both right, you get a 3x on what you put in. On a flex play, if you get one of you have your plays with ASIM and Afro, then you get a 2x on your entry if you get one of them right. So I think that's a pretty cool way to go. I like the flex plays. They're a little bit safer, but also it makes it fun. Is that kind of where you're at too?
That's where I'm at. I'm definitely, I like the flex play potential because I think you can pick multiple things. And I think what is the minimum entry for one bid is like $1 probably.
I'm not sure if it's what it is. I think it might be 5, but I'm honestly not sure. Maybe on certain days of the week it's 1. I'm actually not sure.
Let me see.
They do sometimes run like certain flash promotions where you can do less, I think, but I'm not exactly sure when those exactly are. So
yeah, you
long
can
story
put
short,
$1 down.
Okay, cool.
So if I put $1 and I just picked random 3 players and I chose it to be a flex play, and I would get like $2.25.
No, that's actually really fun. That's really fun.
Got all 3 of them right. If I'm putting $1 down. If I power play it, I put $1 down. I get all 3 correct. I get $5.
No, that's actually epic.
Nice.
So I think that's kind of the fun way to go about it. So overall, what are your guys' picks for this week specifically? Are you, if you're already locked in yet or not, or maybe ones you're leaning towards?
I think I got to go with my man Afro over.
The over versus LAG.
I'm pushing him
in the
forward.
revenge game.
Yeah, I'm pushing him forward. He's got it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, no doubt. Man, I do like the Abizi Nero play, and over on Abizi and an under on Nero.
Yeah,
Abizi is the only one I'm thinking over for. Maybe ASIM.
Yeah, ASIM's a decent shout.
Maybe ASIM. I would say Kleenex, I would put an under. He's at 61.5 kills. I think I would pick an under against
London
Thieves
does not want to play Bocage though. So they've vetoed it 4 times. So like they're not playing it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to go the London LAG route. But
True.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. So overall, the site's really cool. Again, like we said, tweet us your picks and we'll talk about our official picks next week for sure. I think it's gonna be a fun little recurring segment on the show to kind of talk about what's going down and talk about some individual player performances as well and kind of reflect on the past week and stuff. So it should be really fun and interesting to see how they're set up for some success and what happens. So again, tweet us your picks with the hashtag BO3picks on Twitter, but then use the promo code BO3pod on Prize Picks to get the specific promotion where they double your money
for what you put in.
Yep. So
up to
long story
$100.
short, shout out Prize Picks for kind of picking us up as a partner.
Yes,
and it's
thank
gonna be
you.
a blast this season long to kind of go through this. I'm actually excited to play. Like legitimately
I am
excited
too.
to play.
It's a really user-friendly site. Like I'm actually really, really impressed. I'm excited to do this.
Which was
And
why
you
I
don't
was
even
like,
have to put a lot of money in. Like I can just do it. Like it can be just like a fun thing.
yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. Like when like they first reached out, I'm like, well, I only want to do stuff if it's like actually cool or fun or like the users or our viewers will actually think it's cool. And like I legitimately think users will think it's cool. So use the promo code because it actually helps us out a lot. So we appreciate that a lot. Or use the link down in the description as well. So there it is, boys and girls. Prize Picks shout out. Thank you so much for supporting us and check them out for sure. No doubt about it. So without further ado, guys, we have a lot of news to get into. So let's get into the news of the week. Let's go.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
News here, news here. We, the Paris Legion, have decided to drop Decimate. We've switched accents. Today, we say thank you and goodbye to Decimate for his time serving on the Legion.
He's been
dropped, but somebody else has been picked up.
That's true.
Gravity finally gets a shot. A top amateur and North American amateur, multi-champion in challengers. Everyone's been talking about this AR getting a spot in the league, and now he's got one.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly the worst team in the league. There's some drama around that. But what do you guys think of this? Josh, you kind of predicted it.
I mean, we were talking about it last week. Like, I don't know, man. The team's 0-5, and they were having problems, and it seemed like something was definitely not going to work. And then the question was, has John played well enough to keep his spot around? And then it felt like either John or Decimate, one of them had to go. And so I know some people were really surprised that John wasn't the one to go. Some people were like, really defending John. And like after looking at it more, I'm kind of on the fence about where that was at specifically. And I think we can talk about that directly here in a second. But overall, I mean, a change had to be made at some point. So like, I think it makes sense they try to give it a go now before the major. But at the same time, is this really going to change the outcome for them? Like, probably
People
not.
are saying no. I think I saw Crone, his CDL Intel saying he doesn't think it's going to change much on that's what he said on his personal account. But from what we understand, Gravity is going to be the main AR. Felo is going to be moved to the flex position. Decimate won't be playing, and then Temp and John
Which
are going to
moves
be
Temp
subs.
back down to main
So
SMG.
Temp is moving from flex to sub.
It really is a big role change, though, and that's kind of the big debate probably, is that Temp's now on main SMG. So, like, he was playing so well on flex.
Yeah.
And so it's tough to justify the role move for him after how well he seemed to be playing. But at the same time, like, even when he was frying, they weren't winning series. So then it's like, well, then whose fault is it? And then there's all that debate. So, Sam, I want you to... Where are you at with the Decimate v. John conversation? Your thought before I insert my obnoxious opinions.
I am 100%. I will fully admit it. I am biased. I love John. I think, just his role in like the titles past, he's been phenomenal. And so like, I think in my mind, I'm still holding on to that thought, like John is like that absolute slain, like John is still out there, and like he's still in there. But I can't deny that he's had a really rough, obviously, like when he was out for a year and then came back, and then hasn't been the same since.
He did make some nice plays, and he's been good against OpTic. He was pretty good. Yeah.
And like, I think there's also something to be said too. Like, we looking at Blast tweets about Decimate, like saying like, he hasn't got a good chance. Well, there's something to be said about John not having he hasn't been on a team that has really made sense role wise since he's come back.
Right. You want him to be the Bance of a team.
Yeah. And so
I mean, you could argue he had that chance last year on LA Thieves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Thieves had a lot of problems last year, just with
they were kind of chalked all around.
Exactly. So yeah, like all that to say, I think I'm always going to give him a second chance. I understand why people would be upset that it wasn't him.
Yeah, I saw a post on Reddit about like John v Decimate, and some people were talking about why they wanted John over Deci, and like they use in the maps where Paris has actually won, John has been like positive or dominated in 4 of the 5 of them or something along those lines, and like he made the clutch plays against Florida in that like the round 11, and like you can rely on him to be clutch and like those types of things. So I think overall I totally get it, and I understand why I didn't really have like I guess to wrap back to last week, or to reference back, quoting Lando.
There we
go. To reference back to last week, the conversation was like, okay, I think one of these guys needs to go, and I wasn't exactly sure which ones. It was like Temp is staying for sure, but then who are the ones that are going to leave? I mean, it could have been any of them, depending on who they wanted to replace. And so GRVTY's for sure in. And then as of tonight was the kind of the other big change in news that it looks like Jimbo is also getting signed because Decimate's officially dropped.
Well, no, I think I saw that fell through.
No. So then literally an hour ago, he tweeted it's official.
Oh, wow.
So it looks like that's just going to be for the substitute role because Decimate got dropped officially. So Jimbo might be their back pocket play if either Felo or John doesn't work and then swap around the roles again. So that's probably something that we'll have our conversation later about when it comes to pressure and who's on the hot seat. Because anyway, I mean, right now those guys it's going to be a steaming hot seat.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I think Paris is always going to be an interesting conversation because I think they have a redemption
arc to fulfill.
Like unless they like have like a huge bag to drop and like kind of pull an LAG. I think they're always going to for the near future at least they're going to they're going to have to pull guys that are lesser known or like need like a second chance.
And so far they've missed their opportunities. I mean, they missed out on the Hydras of the world and
exactly
and the Preds.
I think Paris has a chance to do that, like what Surge did, and like Surge didn't need a huge bag. They found the right guys around them. Exactly. So I think there's a world where John, Temp, and Felo, or maybe John and Temp, kind of find guys around them, or maybe. This is the answer. Maybe GRVTY coming on, and then maybe Jimbo.
GRVTY has desperately needed a chance. So it's exciting that he's the one getting
I feel better about the team with GRVTY coming on. If I'm being honest,
I think we need to go back to our hot takes or early takes. I know GRVTY was in one of mine. So
wait, I think your hot take was specifically to Seattle.
It was
right?
Seattle. That's what it was. Okay.
But I mean, to nail that GRVTY was, you specifically mentioned GRVTY as the guy you think was going to get picked up.
Coming in as the main AR.
You'll take that.
I'll take that. I'll take it.
Yeah, man. That's actually great. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that again.
It'd have been so great if I would have said Paris though. Oh, that'd been so great.
I mean,
imagine.
I gotta be happy with just getting the right name first. Honestly, it's pretty good. Let's talk about GRVTY then. I mean, obviously, he's been in the AM scene for a long time now, and he was on Team War this year, playing in the elites with Paul and Jimbo and Venom. So GRVTY and Jimbo have been playing together this year, and I think in their past they'd play together quite a bit as well, dating back to Atlanta FaZe Academy and Modern Warfare. So Desi really, he went from starting to now cut. So there's a lot of different narratives here. So let's finish with the GRVTY in the starting lineup narrative first and talk about that. So obviously he's been dominating. He's been winning a lot. He was on the West Star team last year, where Zaptius, Venom, and Paul all got their chance during Cold War, but he was the only player who didn't. And so then GRVTY didn't get his chance. Then in Vanguard, he was teaming with Nero, Hamza, and Zaptius. So then Nero got his chance. And now he's finally getting his chance in the league. So as a main AR, what are your expectations for GRVTY on this Paris team with the situation right now?
I honestly feel very optimistic. I think they made a really good pickup with GRVTY. I think they're going to be a better team. And I think they're going to show a lot more strength. The thing with
do you have any theory on what the upgrade would be? What's the narrative for why they would look better with GRVTY?
How do I put this? GRVTY, I think, is just a very well-respected player at that AR position. I think he's going to be someone people are going to be more wary of than maybe they were Felo at that main AR position.
Okay. From a respect of their gun skill situation?
Right. And I think he also has a good mind for the game.
Yeah. So, that's why I think keeping Felo on could make a lot of sense considering of how good a communicator Felo is. So from a leadership standpoint, that's why Felo's still on this team. No doubt. He has great comms. He's a good leader. He has a great mind for the game, and he's a good S&D player. But the problem is the respawn has not been there for Felo yet consistently. And on maps like GRVTY and on maps like Berlin, you need to have that AR out there absolutely dominating. So I think that's probably where a lot of the problems rose for Paris.
Mm-hmm.
I know Black Ops 4 was a really weird gun meta with the Maddox, but Temp fried during the Black Ops 4.
Yeah.
I think he ran more than Maddox, didn't he?
I would say he was a main sub for some of the year.
Was it or the
he was a main sub for at least a while with SOG.
So like he absolutely has it in him to run that main SMG.
Right. But it's
I think it's just a
if
matter
your only
of,
game where you've really been a good SMG is Black Ops 4, you're like,
yeah, it's rough.
It's hard to like justify that he's for sure going to be good.
Absolutely. You kind of wonder if him and John can like actually like really mesh though. Like
I think they will. I think that was the problem with John and Decimate.
Mm-hmm.
Partly is what I think is why they made that switch. I think Temp and John are going to have a better like connection.
They just need to not play GRVTY.
Yeah,
nobody should play GRVTY.
Well, no, honestly, I think it's the opposite. I think that's all they should play.
You think so?
I mean, so far it's been the only map where they've actually been like decent on it, at least in control.
I mean,
so I don't know.
probably,
we'll see.
But GRVTY just sucks. I don't ever want to see it. I don't ever want to see GRVTY Control ever again in my life.
Fair enough.
I don't want to see Control ever again.
It is. You did make that abundantly clear.
You did.
I'd like to make sure everyone knows every single podcast that Control is the worst game mode.
But yeah, I mean, I love that from you. Long story short, I think with Paris, like, is it an upgrade? I think so. Overall, like, I mean, let's transition to some of this talk to Decimate as well. And like we saw with Blast not being happy that Decimate was dropped again. And like we saw a handful of people defending Decimate. Obviously, I mean, the irony is that him and Blast have been kind of doing for a long time, and they were both on the LAG team, and then they were talking crap about the LAG team. So it's like there is probably some bias there inherently with their experiences together. But I mean, do you feel like Decimate has gotten a real shot? Because I mean, like Blast tweeted, the fact that Decimate is probably getting shafted is comedy. Guy needs to get a real opportunity to showcase his talent. And then someone commented, he got a shot from the get-go of a season. What more does he need? And he's like, what shot? The Paris Legion? You can ask any pro, and they'll all say they're just good individuals, but the team makes 0 sense. Felo as a main AR, and then laughing emoji.
Well, I don't know if you can ask any pro. Depends what you consider theory and the coaching team over there. Like, clearly some people thought this might work. And honestly, I think it was better than anything they've had yet. Maybe initial Paris Legion roster in Modern Warfare, but I think this is this was a roster that was going to win games, I think, at some point.
Yeah, they definitely got the short end of the stick with some of the like the scheduling, but like long story short, this team was not going to work, so they had to make a change. I don't know.
For sure.
I agree that it wasn't the most logical team from the start, expecting Felo to be a main AR and like requiring like Temp to flex. And then your fourth, and this was our problem from the beginning, is the SMG Joes, you were like, you literally had to have John and Decimate be elite slaying duo. And like that just seems so unlikely.
Well, here's the thing with Decimate too, is like talking about getting chance shots, but he was on Seattle Surge.
Yep. And for 15 days.
I mean, I don't want to say he botched it, but like, horrendous showing.
Something happened. Like he like left.
Right.
He just didn't even want to be on it.
And he just quit mid-season. He did join the New York Subliners.
He was on LAG in Modern Warfare. Yeah.
Yep. Then he bombed.
Yeah.
He was on Surge and they bombed. Yeah. It's like, again, it's their tough thing because like he was a last
pretty good with New York.
Surge. He played okay with New York. To say he hasn't gotten a real opportunity and now he's got a starting spot on this Paris roster. I mean, I know it's not like he's not been landed on FaZe.
Like, what would a real shot look like? I mean, I guess.
What is that? Like, how much more of a shot do you give someone?
I mean,
it's like, we have to put them on an already really solid team, and they have to be good on this really solid team. It's like, well, they're a solid team.
Does GRVTY shot not count now?
They're not doing anything else.
I'd be curious too what Blast would say about himself. Like, does like Blast think he's ever gotten like a fair?
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? Because like he like. You know, he's been kind of a fringe player, and
he's been on and off for a while. I mean, a lot of people think Decimate's just an onliner, which I don't like calling people onliners. I
don't think he's an onliner. I think, you know, I like there's obviously like a lot to a team, right? There's the chemistry aspect, there's the roles aspect, there's the individual talent, and I think there's just some times where I think players just have a hard time finding it. Like I think players have a hard time finding that one team or that one role, and like yeah,
right.
There's obviously like a ton has to do with the individual skill, and I think everyone in the CDL, even everyone on Paris and who not, are very extremely the best in the game. But you got to find that right roster. You got to find the right roles, and so
I mean, at the end of the day, I think we've seen the formula that actually works. It's your best lottery chance is one veteran with 3 amateur players, or at least 2, at least 2, and so far, like with Boston, it's worked all right, and then with Seattle, it's worked great. And with London, it's worked great. And so at this point, with Decimate gone and GRVTY in there, you're one step closer. And then we'll see what happens with Jimbo. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm fully convinced on Jimbo versus what I am with GRVTY at this point. But even then, Jimbo has been a player who deserves a shot too. So, man, it's going to be interesting. Do you think Jimbo ends up in a starting lineup if you had to bet? Because I would say almost for sure, yes.
I think so. If it's not like for John, I don't know. I think. Yeah,
I mean, you could also see Temp. I mean, it potentially could be.
I think Temp's been looking
Felo.
good. I think maybe Felo.
It's either for John or for Felo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like where you want to put Temp.
Yeah, exactly. Where they think they can utilize. Maybe that's the experiment too. Maybe it's like, well, let's see what Temp can do with an MP40, and then we can kind of utilize his best attribute moving forward. And if he really is better as a flex, then we're gonna have to bench Felo and maximize our starting lineup with Jimbo.
Yeah. Maybe he's an elite main sub though. Who knows?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if that'll be the case per se, but my prediction is that Jimbo would join this team at the latest by the middle of stage 2.
I can see it.
For Felo, probably.
All right. Next up on the news, Ultra and Singularity, the EU challengers team, one of the best, have now partnered together to launch Toronto Ultra Academy in the EU. And I believe they also are going to have an NA team.
Yep. So they're going to have an NA and an EU team. So it's actually like dope. They literally have
Ultra
2
does
academy.
everything right, man. Ultra is probably one of my favorite orgs. I know we were roasting them at the beginning and like they really
strict. U-turned.
They're so strict to people. They don't let them leave the home place. But I mean, everything they do has been so just chef's kiss. Beginning of Modern Warfare, they're picking up like 1 million players, getting a good roster set up, and now look at them now. They've found this core roster. They're super good, super solid. And now they're doing 2 amateur teams, 1A, 1. Oh, just, I love it. I love seeing it.
Oh, no, it's fantastic. Like, the partnership also makes a ton of sense with Singularity specifically, considering that, so many of their players have been on Singularity at this point with Cammy or with Insight and with Kleenex. So they have that history there, and so them partnering there makes a ton
that makes
of
them
sense.
so much more active in the challengers scene now that Singularity is like obviously very much involved in challengers scene. Like they really care about that. Now they're partnered with this team that cares about the challenger scene, like scene a lot. Like it's just a recipe for success. Like because they don't have the like ways to be super invested in the challenger scene. So it's like, let's have Singularity there to help us do that.
Oh, for sure. Oh, we should probably read their roster. So their official NA roster is Hixie, Mohawk, Scrappy, and Vickle. So that's a nice squad, a little 4 there. I mean, bringing on like a guy like Mohawk and then Vickle, who's been really good this year, and then as well Scrappy. So it's a very interesting team, a mix of NA and EU. And then you've got their EU team is Harry, Vortex, Beans, and then Furious with Josh coaching. So that's a really fun roster.
Yes.
Dang. No, I hope this is where the direction we're headed for every single team in the league.
100%.
There's a long way to go, but this is the start, and it's going to only go up from here. So I love it.
Oh yeah, and like they've also seen success here with both. I mean, both of them end up qualifying for the Elite Series. So they their teams are already seeing success too. So things you love to see for that.
Ultra, man. Whew. I'm liking that.
Yeah, they're doing well. They are doing well, and you love seeing that, boys.
Vanguard news.
Yes.
The aim assist bug is being actively investigated by Sledgehammer. So there's an aim assist bug that toggles on and off when the
a lot of
player
pros are
is
complaining about
an enemy player. It's hard to know when or how or what reason why this happens at times, but it does, and they're fixing it.
Yeah, Sib started a lot of that conversation on Twitter by like, he's like, am I going insane or do I just suck? Like, what is happening? Like, and then people started looking into it, and some people are theorizing it has to do with having a mouse plugged in. I don't know if this is confirmed or not. But I've seen this people
said
saying
about Halo too.
Like if your mouse is plugged in
for Halo, yeah,
it ruins some of the aim assist.
It would not ruin. It would take away all the aim assist.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so this is actually hurting some. I don't know. It's definitely weird. So we'll keep that in mind moving forward and see what happens with that.
This is a conversation. Rambo says trophies don't belong in this game. Doesn't want them for every respawn, or they have to be easily destroyed. Do you guys have thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, like he was using like GRVTY as an example, kind of like imagine if an AR has a trophy sitting on top of one of those tanks, or sitting in one of the tanks with the god heady. Like you can't even nade him off the heady. Like what are you gonna do? And literally it'll create even more unbreakable hills. But I feel like for every, at least in my opinion, for every counter argument, or for every argument of that, you have a counter argument for like, well, it would improve this hill by a lot, or make like P5 on Tuscan, the literal most toxic hill in the game of nades. Like hills like that would massively be improved by having trophies in the game. So personally,
You're
like
right.
GRVTY would be massively improved by trophies in the game.
Oh, and
but
like
I agree with him that they need to be destroyed easily.
Well, yeah, but like there's also like way, there's ways to like lessen that, where it's like, again, you have a max 2 trophies per team. The cooldown is a lot longer, or that kind of thing, where it's like you have those systems in play, but like you should be rewarded if you get the rotation on P5, and you can set up and you have a trophy to throw down. That's a huge advantage, and it's like,
right, it just changes the meta of the game a little bit, which is, I think a lot of times that's generally the problem with sometimes the argument of pros and changing rule sets, is that they're not actually thinking about if it's going to be good or bad. It's more like the resistance to the change of the meta is the problem, which can sometimes be the issue.
100%.
But I agree with you. Like, I mean, his argument was like, unless they're built right, it's going to suck, which I could see. Like if we had Cold Wars trophies in this game, it'd be awful. Yeah. Like you'd literally never be able to break anything when it comes to any of the bigger hills. So because literally those things were like indestructible, A, and B, like it was just insane. Like, so those things I can get it. Yeah. But if you have more like Modern Warfare trophies where they could only destroy like 2 items and then you could easily shoot them, then I think that could work in this game. So it just kind of depends how they're built.
We have like Black Ops 4 trophies that could like literally remove your
word, the War Machine.
The War Machine specialist. You couldn't do anything
literally
about it.
One trophy in the hill.
Goosh, goosh, goosh,
Someone
goosh,
shoot the trophy, please. Like, oh my word.
There be so many times where I'm like,
here.
are you kidding me? I pull this out and there's a trophy in the
they
hill.
Perfectly counter with the trophy. Yeah.
Oh, I was so mad.
That's so tough.
Like, how do you have 10 flares loaded up in one trophy? Like,
bro, losing full.
Oh gosh.
All right, so some big news, Call of Duty news. 2023's Call of Duty game may be delayed to the following year. So we'll have a 2-year COD.
I love it.
Yeah, so this basically happened like right before we recorded last week, so we didn't have a chance to actually cover it. And pretty massive news. Like, it has a big impact. So Sam, what are your first thoughts? When you first heard it, you're like, whoa, this is big.
It's big, but I love it. I'm of the opinion that the yearly cycle is what is sort of killing COD.
For sure.
I know there's a debate to be had there. I think there's a lot of people who would say otherwise, but I don't know. I think given at least 2 years per Call of Duty, like, is a good idea, because if it allows us to get like a cohesive system, especially for like ranked play, all this stuff, that we can have more than 8 months of the Call of Duty's life cycle to play ranked. I think that's going to be a huge help. I think it's going to be a huge help. I understand the scare of it. Like, well, what if it's a bad COD? But I feel like that's like every game's, there's a risk with like every game where it's like,
Here's the thing. We're going to get the same CODs every year. Like every COD on this yearly cycle, it seems like has the same issues for the most part. Ranks never out. There's some gun that's messed up. Trophies aren't very good. Like it's always the same things. And my guess is because of that yearly pressure that they can't fine tune it as much, giving them that more time to get a game done in 2 years. We might come out with a more polished game that we're willing to stick with for 2 years, like we're seeing with Halo Infinite.
Well, it just seems like, especially with this, like this stage of Call of Duty, where like we're using this like the new, like I call it the Battlefield engine, right? Like there was
the MW engine.
There was a drastic change between World War II and Modern Warfare, right? Those are two games.
Or BO4. The Modern Warfare.
But sorry. BO4 to Modern Warfare. Went to this like cartoony feel to this now like realistic style feeling and weight and all this stuff. And I feel like really, since Modern Warfare, it's been like we're getting a very similar situation with with each COD. I know Cold War was definitely the best competitive year by far. Out of those 3 years, since Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's worth the risk to not have to push out a COD every year and instead try to fix the game.
So
and not have to fix the game, honestly.
Yeah, my scare comes from just like the fact I'm just worried that more time for Activision doesn't equal better game. Like it just means more time to spread out the content.
Yeah.
Like maybe a doubling of the time might mean 25% more content. But like, do you really want that ratio? Like, generally, we've always seen Activision take as long as they've needed, no matter what. Like, and stretch out their deadline to literal the last second. So I'm just not sure that it's giving them more time actually means a better game. And B, like, is the time crunch really the problem for Call of Duties nowadays? Like in the past, I mean, I know at launch, BO4 had its problems. World War II had its problems. I mean, IW had a lot of problems at launch, but like they were drastically different feeling games that all had unique aspects to them. So I just think we might just be in a new era of Call of Duty where you're not going to have that same feel because because of Warzone, all the games are using the same engine now, which drastically is just going to create more similar feeling Call of Duties no matter what. So it's like,
I kind of think that's a good thing though. Like you get this like consistency with it.
Well, I mean, yeah, from a mainstream perspective, obviously people liked Modern Warfare and people are really excited for Modern Warfare 2. So I get the logic from Activision to let Modern Warfare 2 be the mainstay game for 2 years.
I'm so happy that the mainstay one is a Modern Warfare game.
But obviously, from my personal
perspective,
well, the next Treyarch game is going to be a Black Ops game in the future, no doubt.
Good. Jetpacks, uplink, get rid of control.
No jetpacks. That would be shocked. But
that's what they need is to bring back uplink. I am telling you, the viewership will spike.
Bingo time.
Like hundreds of thousands of viewers will come back because there's uplink. Hell, make COD only uplink, and people will watch that.
We got two ShadyNero bingos in like back to back segments. Control, and then we talked about uplink.
What they need to do is go back to Black Ops 4's style, like feel wise. Like I miss the cartoon feel, dude. I really do.
It's just never gonna happen. The bigger problem is
best. It's the best.
Well, Treyarch. I mean, again, I personally loved Cold War a lot. It was just I had no problems with Cold War.
No, I don't either. It's just like inherently, like I don't like the new engine. I just don't. I wish we had again, Black Ops 4,
original Treyarch engines.
Yeah, all that stuff. But
fair enough. But long story
again,
short,
I'm a boomer, so
fair. Yeah. That's for sure. What am I trying to say? the worst thing about this is that we're pushing off a Treyarch game till 2024. That's the worst thing about this. And some people are like, well, they're being cheeky about this. Really, it's going to be January 1st, 2024. It's not actually going to be like October 2024. Like they're really only giving themselves 6 more months. But I think from the articles, at least for me, it came off more like it was actually going to be a full year pushed back, not just like 4 months or 3 months or something.
I'm happy.
But
to see it.
but like to your point, Josh, like you're right. Like in my world,
Squad
like,
spawns for 2 more years. Are you really excited about that?
Like in my world, when they like do like the, every 2 years, Activision is properly using that time. But if they don't properly use that time, then
they're Activision.
That's going to be worse.
Our next news point is literally that the Activision shareholders are trying to sue to block the sale to Microsoft.
Oh, are they really? I didn't even see that.
Why?
Because of insider deals with the CEOs. The CEOs are getting huge pay. This is why Bobby wanted to do this deal, because he's getting a $30 million bonus for selling at this time to Microsoft. Anyway, that's part of the deal. But so I don't know. I just think there's gonna be a lot of turmoil, a lot of problems. And so like, personally, I think this is just good. I was not happy to see the news at all. I know like 80% of people were, but like, Treyarch makes the best CODs and it's not close at this point. B, Modern Warfare for 2 years. Do we really think that is multiplayer going to benefit from that? Is the CoD League going to benefit from that, or is Warzone going to benefit from that? Because Warzone is going to be the one that benefits from that, not multiplayer.
Probably.
Why would Warzone benefit from that?
Because they get a whole new year of more maps on the same game. Everyone hated this launch of Vanguard's Warzone. So it's like, everyone wants the Modern Warfare Warzone. People want it. It's going to be massive.
But they can just pump out a new map like whenever they want. They do it by game, but
yeah, but they aren't though.
Yeah, I think they're going to like change the engine, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they said it's an edited engine. It's just going to be upgraded
with
from the original one.
jetpacks. It's gonna add them, dude. They're gonna bring them back.
They are not gonna bring back jetpacks.
Maybe not in this next COD, but they will come back.
2025 would be by far the earliest that we could possibly get jetpacks.
I think you underestimate their ability to pick and choose maps that are uplink specialties where people will get jetpacks during.
Rex, I think you and me are in a very unique
dude,
group of people that want jetpacks. But like
you guys and attach.
Everybody wants jetpacks. Everybody does.
And
I think there's like a subset of the Call of Duty community, competitive Call of Duty community, which the competitive Call of Duty community is already an extreme subset of Call of Duty.
Right.
Which is what I've grown to realize over the past 2.5 years. But we talked a lot about jetpacks in the past
3-4 months though. I mean, long story short, like how do you think this affects the CoD League? Okay, let's specifically stick to the CoD League.
Yeah.
Would you be excited about a second year of a game? Well, what if we got Vanguard for 2 years?
Vanguard for 2 years is a no-go.
I would be wait. I would be happy though if like Champs is August, they start back up again in like October, November. Like if it gives them a time to push up that February start date, I would love that.
I'm only excited about this if they're releasing like literally double the amount of maps. Like we have like a brand new map set for the next game. Like,
there needs to be like reasons, like band picks need to be way more like bigger, I think. Like let's say year one, you have, let's just use Vanguard as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Vanguard this year, you play this whole year with the current map set, which hopefully, please, dear Lord, we have more. But let's just say for the sake of the argument, you play with the same maps that we have currently for the whole year. Then we have Vanguard 2.0 next year, the same game. We're playing it again. Like legitimately, I think we should have double the map set. Now we have 8 hardpoint maps to choose from, 4 control maps to choose from, 10 S&D maps to choose from. Like literally a massive map set for the second year.
There needs to be band picks. Like there really needs because control is just band. This is the one. Like there really needs to be a picking system too.
Right. Which there was in the past, but this year it's been tragic.
And again, like the teams with the largest map pools are going to be the best off. So
yeah. So if that's the case where we like have a massive doubling of the map set, then it's interesting and I'm down. But like if it's like we're adding one map in and we're playing GRVTY for the next year, you're like, oh no.
That would be rough.
Like that's where you'd have problems. Even Cold War. Like by the end of Cold War, you're like, all right, I've seen enough of this. Like I wanna watch a new game. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little bit hesitant about that gap, but at this point, people probably it's already week old news. We can probably leave it there for now, but drop your comments down below because I want to hear what you guys have to say about this because it is really interesting to say the least. So, all right. We're already here, so I'll just kind of roll into the next thing. So our next point of news was the Activision shareholders are suing to block the $69 billion sale to Microsoft. And this was reported by a handful of different media outlets. But basically, people are pissed that like all the CEOs are getting massive bonuses outside of the stocks to sell. And so they're like suing as if it's like outside of business law to do this type of sale with these bonuses. So it's possible this could be like a long-term court case now, and then who knows if it'll actually be confirmed. And so that's something to keep your eye on radar-wise. And so I thought I wanted to mention it because it was relevant to kind of our whole conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like Activision leadership sucks. And they should sell it. But these people are like, well, we're getting screwed here because they're just giving themselves big bonuses before they leave, which is like, again, dick move.
Oh, yeah. And like, again, Bobby Kotick, he was trying to get enforced to resign. And now he's actually able to give himself a whole nother year's salary because of the sale and then gets a $30 million sale bonus on top of his stock shares.
And then he gets to leave scot-free.
And then he gets to leave. Like, this dude is walking away a robber, bro. This guy is finessing. Oh my, we say Shotzi's good at finessing. This dude is the ultimate finesse. I mean, wow.
Yeah,
like some shady
what a
stuff
scum
going on.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
it kind of feels that way.
Unfortunately, it's all just upper, higher level stuff that no one can like. It's just the way it is. Like, you know
he's
what
the
I mean?
worst.
It's just unfortunate that like no one can really do anything about it. It's just
So who knows? I'd have to go research a lot of this business law to actually know who favors in that court case, but who the F knows. But all right, that's basically it for all the news this week. So next we're going to get kind of our predictions and our hot takes and our hot seats. And it's actually going to be a really fun conversation. So without further ado, guys, we have a lot to get into. So let's talk about some of these hot, spicy takes. Let's get it.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Alrighty, here we are, boys and girls. We have some interesting conversations to be had. We're going to start off with the hot seat conversation and give our hot seat rankings in the CDL. This has kind of been the thing we're going to be doing this year is keeping tabs on some of the potential roster changes, basically heading into each week or we're going to be doing it every so often. And we did it with Shift on when he was replacing Rex for an episode when we were having an emergency fill-in. And so this is our first one of the official regular season with all of us here. And then we'll be getting into some of the other really interesting conversations about some of the what if scenarios, which we'll be hitting on some of them here in this conversation as well. So should be fun. So there were some guys we talked about last time, but I think I kind of want to open up the floor and talk about some of the guys you think really are on the hot seat if things don't go right for their teams at the major. So Sam, do you have one off the rip that you kind of want to throw out there? And then maybe at the end we can kind of rank them and have that conversation.
Well, I mean, I feel like you got to talk about John and Paris and John and Felo, right?
Paris, John and Felo are kind of the twofer there, I think.
Exactly. Like we already know that Jimbo is pretty much guaranteed to come on as a sub, and they already made one roster change, and so that you know Paris is not afraid to do it, and obviously with Paris's performance, it's pretty abysmal. You can't say that.
But would it be decided at the major though? Because they'll play the loser of Seattle versus OpTic. So it's like, if they'll say they lose 3-1 to Seattle or 3-1 to OpTic, like, is that enough to drop someone if they play bad or bench them?
I mean, if you're looking at the whole major or the whole stages
as a whole,
you know, as one, kinda. I mean, you don't want to be the team that hasn't won a game yet.
But what would be the logic of not benching them now to then bench them after one series? Is it just the what if?
That, or, you know, maybe there was some sort of something blocking Jimbo from coming on earlier.
Possible.
You know, maybe like, you know, maybe internal.
You never know.
Otherwise, you know, maybe they're hoping that I guess it is true. If it really wasn't like something outside blocking, there probably really isn't a point.
Unless they wanted to test temp on main SMG to see how it goes.
Just to
that
see.
Could be the argument.
Could be. But yeah, no, I think for sure, if not after major one, I think for sure midway through Major 2, honestly.
Okay, let's give each player a scale of 1 to 10 on the hot seat, the hot meter, the hotness meter.
Yeah, I honestly think John's in a hotter seat than Felo.
Agreed.
I do too.
I mean, if we're talking like,
I'd go 8 out of 10.
yeah,
Pretty hot.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say like
Maybe 9.
If we're saying 10 is like dropped,
10's they're dropped tomorrow.
yeah, 8 for sure.
Yeah.
When it comes to Felo,
It-
maybe like 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Yeah. Probably like 6.5.
Yeah.
You in the same spot, Rex?
Yeah. I agree with you. I think 8's a good number.
Okay. Fair enough. So, Rex, do you have a player or someone you think is kind of on the hot seat, spicy hot, the hotness?
I feel like that Paris team is the easiest to pick on, but I think a player that I think people are looking at a lot is Octane.
Really?
I think he hasn't, like, in just like the grand scheme of things. If Thieves just aren't doing well, and like so far they've been really good, they've been great, everything's been hunky dory. But I think, at least for me, I've seen weaknesses in Thieves. I think they're obviously a beatable team. Where are they on this wave right now? When they're going on their downward path on this wave,
Okay.
I think Octane is going to be a person everyone's going to be looking at, especially with this.
So you're saying like if things went really wrong at the major, then maybe there's like some consideration there, or like
no, I'm not. No, I'm
Is this more
not
of a
thinking
far-off
just
thing?
major. Like I'm. There's not a lot of people I think are on the hot seat for the like just the major, other than maybe Paris
Right.
players, maybe
For
some
sure.
New York players. But just in the grand scheme of things, I just feel like Octane, people have eyes on him because he needs to do well. Like he needs to do well. People
For sure.
like if he gets dropped and it's obvious that like he's the cause and he's not doing very good, like people are gonna be like, I just don't see that faring well for him.
yeah. I mean, so far they've been playing well, so I would say, I mean, he's got to be really low. I mean, he's like a 3 or 4 at max.
I would
Mhm.
say if these are struggling, I think Kenny would be the one to look at.
Really? I mean, Kenny's been the one playing the best so far out of maybe all of them.
Yeah, no, I just think like I don't think they're gonna drop Envoy. I'm saying like if these start doing poorly,
I would say Draws would be the most likely.
really,
Dude, you're so why?
I don't think Draws
Because
would be
of-
the most.
I
Likely.
don't.
Purely off
I think
names.
Octane is the obvious person. Honestly,
Kenny wanted to Octane desperately wanted to play with Kenny.
Right.
And then Envoy wanted to play with Kenny. And so then Draws is the guy where it's like he's kind of the add-on. And
Yeah, but
Kenny's the one
Draws,
vouching for him.
His
I feel like Draws has got some star power behind him.
100% Sam.
I mean,
Yeah.
but what do you mean Kenny and Envoy and Octane have more star power behind them without a doubt?
I feel like Kenny's been on the team for a while and hasn't seen a ton of success. I don't know.
I guess, are you doing from like just purely from JCap's perspective?
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of thinking from the team's perspective. Like if they were going to have issues,
Oh yeah, no. I'm
then
thinking like
Draws
outside.
is the one out.
Yeah, no, I'm not thinking internally. I'm thinking JCap or Nate Shot. I
Yeah,
don't
Mud
know.
Dog.
Yeah.
I don't
From
know
their
if Draws
perspective,
is the
they
one
kept
out.
Draza. So like
I don't
maybe
know
they.
why you would get rid of him.
I mean,
But
This,
no
this
one's
is
done
all
bad on
right,
a
This
team.
is all theories. This is all
theory because they're literally we have them
Yes.
finishing
They're-
second
Yeah.
in this
Okay.
tournament.
Yeah, they're a top 4 team and like
Yeah, no,
everything.
yeah,
I'm
no,
just
this is
saying,
very-
if they
very
ever
theoretical.
go down the crapper and they're doing terrible, I think Octane is going to be a person people are looking at during that.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I wanted to. I mean,
What,
okay, I would give
Florida?
that like a. I'd give it like a 2 or 1.5 hotness.
Florida's next, right? Talking about Florida.
Well, yeah, but where's your ranking? Your hotness ranking?
0.8.
Yeah, point. That's fair. It could be lower than 1. Rex, where's yours?
I don't know what the parameters are for this hotness ranking. I'll give it
Basically,
a.
out of all the starters currently, like
Who's getting dropped after Major 1?
If
yeah,
Scump's at a 0 because he'll never get dropped,
I
he'd
don't
only
think
retire.
really anyone's getting dropped after Major 1 other than maybe Legion players.
Clayster?
And a
maybe
10 is like he's dropped.
And maybe a sub, maybe royalty.
Okay, well, I think there's at least some interesting conversations to be had that could happen after stage 1.
Clayster and Crim
So-
6 just get booted.
Well, I mean, okay, so let's talk Florida.
Yeah.
Because let's say they get body bagged at this tournament. All
Yeah.
right.
Petty's out of here.
You think? Because he played really well the last two
Why?
series.
Why Dave?
Because they're gonna move Skies to main AR, they're gonna move Awakening to Flex, and then they're gonna bring Yeez and Vivid as the sub duo.
I guess I think Vivid's the first one out. And they
What?
Put,
Really?
They put Yeez in. I do.
No, I think Vivid and Yeez are the duo.
I'm not sure what they'd rather do. It probably comes down to what at the end of the day, it comes down to truly what they think about Dave.
Yeah.
But like, he looked good these last two series, man. Like, the guy had his breakout these last two series.
But again, like that's Florida though. Like they just have these one-offs and
they do. And like you said, they do have Skies there who and Awakening who are naturally easy. They can slide right back into those flex AR roles and then bring in a Yeez. But to be fair, Yeez hasn't been like insane in this game by any means so far.
He's been okay.
But I think if you get him in there though, like with I don't know. I guess like I think like
Yeez is a good player.
I think he's got a lot of potential. Obviously, like we see him play, but I don't know. I think he can mold into this roster pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like with Yeez, like their team, it just hasn't been going well for them so far. Like, the Path to Pro team broke up, and then they go to Elite Stage 2 qualifier.
But they were a good team. Like they were a winning team. I wish they would have. Yeah,
but they broke up, and then like Yeez goes on to the GRVTY Panda Ghosty team, and they get top 16 at this qualifier. So it's
not because of him.
I mean, but he hasn't been playing great.
But
Path to Pro, he was one of the best players.
Okay, let's say though that
Path to Pro is a good top 16.
Florida gets an absolute body bag this tournament.
Yeah,
something needs to change.
Right? Like? Let's just say you, Rex.
Who do you change? I know who I'd change. Who do you guys change?
Yeah. Like let's say they decided we're making a roster change. You're saying Vivid for Yeez.
100%.
And then you just keep Awakening on sub?
I don't know like the internal workings and like how the chem works out so much, but I think Vivid for Yeez.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that last year with them. They did the one SMG swap and with Havoc. Yeah, I think that's more likely to happen. If they're going to make a change, I'd probably say Vivid is more likely to happen.
Yeah.
But he's been playing well, so I wouldn't put any of them high on. I don't see them making a change, even if they lose both. But so I wouldn't say any of the players are on a high hotness rating. But I wanted to hear what you guys had to say because it is an interesting conversation. So I'd go like the highest rating on the teams. Maybe I would go Vivid with like a 3 or a 4, maybe.
Trace, call it a trace.
I think the hotness of a sub on that team is like at a 6. I don't know. If they're actually like, I don't know who though.
The hotness of them making a change is at like a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, I just don't know about the individual players. Like, I think I would choose Dave, but I obviously can see why they would keep him because he has been playing okay. Okay,
that's fair. Let's just do the Florida roster change hotness.
Yeah,
how hot is someone on that team?
Yeah, 6 or 7.
I'd go 6.5.
Yeah, same. 7.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, well I think we have to talk about Royalty then.
Yes.
Because he's on the hot seat. No doubt.
100%.
No doubt he's on the hot seat.
No denying that.
Could he get benched?
Yes.
After this tournament?
Yes.
Like within the week?
Yes.
Agreed.
100% he could.
Let's say NYSL gets 3-0 smoked by Thieves, which feels like, let's say Thieves ends up playing them because they lose to Toronto. They're either playing Toronto or Thieves. Yeah. So like, either way, it's not looking too good for New York. So the odds of them making this trip down to Dallas, the odds of them walking over to the esports arena or to the event in Dallas and getting 3-0'd are pretty high.
Yeah.
If that happens,
I don't think it'll be a 3-0.
Okay, well, let's just say they lose pretty bad.
They lose.
Okay.
3-1.
Then what happens to this roster? And who's
the one
Royalty
out? Maybe they put Neptune back in.
I mean, does Clay and Krim have a serious conversation? Like, can they both be on the same team right now?
I think that's the elephant in the room, right? But I think
interesting note. I've seen a few people, actually quite a few comments now saying, watch out, like bold prediction, Florida and New York make a trade. Crim or Clay is going to Florida, and then either Big Wake or Skies goes to New York.
Interesting.
And then and a lot of people say Crim because he'd play with Vivid again.
I don't think so, personally.
I mean, I don't think it's likely, but it's at least a little interesting.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I think Crim has been playing well. Like, it's not a bad idea. I don't know if Crim would be down for that.
Because I don't think Crim would want to play with Big Wake based off of their history. And I don't think Big Wake maybe wants to play with Crim. So I think it's more likely there's a Big Wake for Crim swap.
No, maybe.
And then you have Big Wake flexing, and then you bring Neptune back into the lineup, and it's Neptune, Hydra, Big Wake, and Clay.
I don't know. I don't see that changing for that team. I don't know. I think Crim has been playing well. He's had top KDs.
Oh, no, Crim's been playing well. That's the thing.
Clay has been playing really well. He's had bad maps, but for the most part, I think he's an integral part of that team.
It seems less likely that Florida trades Skies, though, than I think it feels more likely that they trade Awakening. Because, like, Skies seems to be more of their brand. Like, Skies is their guy, you know?
Yeah, Skies is their guy.
Sure. I don't think they'd make either of those trades. I think they would do, like, a Vivid thing, but I don't know if New York would want
so what's
Vivid.
more likely then? Do you think it's more likely that Clay or Crim has a serious conversation, one of them ends up hitting the bench, or that they bring Neptune back in?
They bring Neptune back in.
Because for me, it's like, man, I still.
That feels so tough for
Well,
royalty.
We have
feels
not
so
seen
tough.
This major one is going to tell us more of what we need to know about their hard points.
I wish we got to see it, but we might only get to see
Hardpoints is
three
the
maps.
scariest. Well, Hardpoint is literally like the scariest one in New York. It's like a guaranteed loss at this point. The other
But, like,
ones,
if you
they're
end up playing,
competitive.
but imagine if you end up playing LA Thieves and they lose 3-0. Like, you only get to see one hard point. Like, you learn nothing about this team.
It'll tell you that this wasn't enough time to practice their hard point, and something needs to change.
If they lose 3-0 to New York, what do you think?
Depends how bad the 3-0, I guess the hard point game is.
Okay.
If it's
Do you think it's likely they make a change? If they lose 3-0?
I do. It depends how bad they lose the hard points.
I really wish they would have just kept Neptune through Major 1, man.
I agree.
Well, it seems like Neptune wasn't getting
they-
the picture, though.
But
Agreed.
But they had to know this wasn't going to change them getting top
for stage 1.
5 in stage 1.
They did know that, but that's why they
This
made
is
the
my-
switch early. They have
So this
to
is
make
why
the
I
switch
think that New
early.
York's not going to make a change even if they lost 3-0. Because why would you bring in royalty? Get his visa, get him out here to America, and then bench him after 3 matches. That just seems so like tough. If that's what ends up happening,
If they
I think
bench
they're on the edge.
if they bench Neptune with like not that long to go for stage 1 major, there's no way they make a change right after
one match.
They're gonna give royalty at least
the whole stage,
midway through, or the whole stage, like did Neptune. I wish they would have just gave Neptune like just play him through Major 1. There's like literally nothing to lose at that point. Because you're not making one change and
like they were
getting top 4.
sacrificing playing with royalty online on bad ping.
Yeah.
Like, so you wasted 2 matches where you knew you were going to lose hard points.
Yeah.
Everyone knew it. It was like the most obvious thing ever. You're going to lose your respawns. And they lost all their hard points. Like, oh, wow, shocker. And so it's like you get one. Yeah, I agree. This just seems so unlikely that I would say the hotness by stage 3 is like a 10.
Oh,
But the hotness after this major for this team is like a
low 6.
5. Yeah.
I would say
5-ish.
I would say 5 too.
Okay. So what's your official prediction? Let's say they lose to LA Thieves, either 3-0 or 3-1.
Depends
Good
how
prediction.
bad the hard points are. I think it comes down to how well they play the hard points.
I think
Just
Sam and I
keep
are on
on
the same
going.
page. They don't make
Yeah.
they don't make a change till at least halfway through stage.
It literally makes no sense if they did.
Yeah, agreed.
Unless they're getting like
like they're 250 to 12.
That or like they like get like offered. I don't know.
Or it's a trade. Or it's like something
trade.
like that with New York.
Yeah.
Or with Florida. I legitimately think that type of change might be more likely than royalty hitting the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had to bet on either Clay or Crim leaving after this specific match, or royalty, I'd bet on Crim or Clay leaving.
Interesting.
That's
but I don't
insane.
think those are that likely.
Because royalty's been been the bottom player.
Agreed.
And then Neptune was iffy also as a bottom player.
I mean, unless Crim and Clay see this as no chance that they're the problem, it's just that this other SMG is the problem. And so then royalty gets benched again and they bring in another player.
I don't think it's an issue of what's the problem. I think it's just an issue of people not understanding how the team is working together. Like,
Right.
I honestly feel like they told Neptune, they're like, okay, you need to sit out and you just need to watch. Because he has the gun skill, he has mechanics, but he just needs to watch watch the mini map, watch them play, the whole team playing just from a distance to see how this is all working together. I think
possibly,
I
but
could honestly see that have been the case. We're like, you need to sit, watch for a little bit, just watch.
yeah, but
and
again,
we'll bring you back
watching
later.
for like what, 3 weeks? What's that going to do?
Who knows how long they'll make him watch, but that's what I think is happening. Like he just needs
Fair
to
enough.
watch. And I think I don't know. That's how we always known Neptune has been like kind of behind in that way.
Yeah, it just seems like they gave up. This is 2 years in a row where they gave up on, where Crim gives up on Hook, and then now another team that Crim's on gives up on another high profile SMG really quick before
But
after
you say
slash during
Crim,
stage
but
1.
Clay's in that picture too. Like,
I just think Crim's team, yeah,
yeah.
but no, it is interesting. Okay, do you have another one that you want to throw out there? Because I have a few more that I want to throw out there.
Throw him out.
I mean, is there a conversation? We talked about this a little bit before, but the Rokkr, there's gotta be a conversation here.
They've been.
Let's say they
they've been
lose.
stagnant.
Let's say they get
I
3-0
saw
in their
that
losers
coming.
bracket. Let's say they lose 3-0 in their losers bracket match. Just for hypothetical here.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems so unlikely that you stick with this roster.
The thing that's hard about this roster too is like, I don't even know what I would change.
It's either Priesta or Major Maniac, right?
I think you get rid of Pierce of Priesta.
Priesta.
I think so too, but
That's who I
I
had
don't feel
down.
good about saying that.
I don't feel good about that either. And then is there a potential trade in the works with another team? Maybe.
Maybe, but they do need some, they need some firepower. And that's what happened to them last year. They had no firepower, but then they get Standy. It's like honeymoon firepower, boom. And then they go and they're firepowering for a little bit. Then we got a new COD. They don't have that anymore. It's kind of like you got to come in just with that firepower. And so they neither need to find that, and they're going to be a great team. It's just a passion. Honestly, I just feel like that team is just lacking some.
Well, they have so many people in that organization that are connected to the amateur scene, like with Standy coming there from last year, and then you have Nubsy on that staff, and then like Brian Saint's been always really connected to the amateur scene as well, and then, or at least doing his best to stay connected with that, and then, you know, you got the whole team. So I think that makes a lot of sense that at least give it a chance and then try it out. And we saw last year, they're willing to reach down there to the amateur scene and try to pick up a player and see what happens. And they dropped the mainstay COD Pro in accuracy and took a chance on a guy like Standy. And then, then they brought in Major Maniac again. So I think there's a world where they can make some changes. If they lose this series, and at that point they're now 2-4 in the CDL, and they've had problems in Hardpoint, like I could see that being a real conversation.
I agree. I think Rokkr could end up making a change if they don't figure whatever it is out. Because they've been lackluster. They've been there. They've been competitive enough, but it's been lackluster.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, like, what if LAG lost both their matches? So that means, because if LAG loses to London, then they play the Rokkr. So
LAG could easily beat the Rokkr too.
Oh, for sure. That's what I'm saying. But like, if LAG goes 0-2, is there a conversation there?
You bring in Spart.
Do you try? I don't know.
I think LAG honestly feels pretty good about their performances.
I agree.
So I don't see that happening.
Even if
Not
they went
yet.
0-2, I don't see them making a change either.
I don't think so either, because they've still had an upward trajectory from where they were. Like, I guess perspective or wherever, just the team in general is just better.
Yeah, I agree. And they've shown the flashes in all 3 game modes that they have potential.
Yep.
So I agree with you that I think the Rokkr hot seat's a little bit hotter because they're the same roster from last year. And so if the same story's happening where they can't win respawns, then that's where you have to start making some decisions.
100%.
Okay. So the other 2 that I thought were at least interesting, I don't think this would be an overreaction if they made a roster change, but I want to bring up Boston and Seattle. And I think just looking at one of your notes.
And
I saw one of Stam's questions for our next segment is similar to what I'm going to be talking about here. But like, what if this little downward trajectory for Seattle happens? Like, what if this is actually just Seattle now, and then they end up losing to Paris? Like, something insane happens. This new Paris roster beats Surge in the losers round, and then they go 0-2 to OpTic and Paris. Mm-hmm. Do you make a change? I don't think you do.
They had a really strong start that's going to help them survive.
Yeah, I agree.
Changes.
But like that, at least if that happens, then suddenly they're on the hot seat, real bad. So that's at least something to keep your eye on.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts there? Do you think, is there any world they possibly made a change?
No. I think they had such a hot start. Again, their upward trajectory. They had a little tiny dip, but it's not enough for a change after Major 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I feel like with Surge, you're not going to make a change right now.
Even though they're 2 round 11s away from being 1-5 in the group, or 1-4 in the group stages.
Hey, but that's not the case though, is it?
No, that's true. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then the other team, Boston, let's say they lose both their series. They lose to FaZe, then they lose to Florida. That seems at least very possible.
Again, upward trajectory. Perspective is everything. And that team, it's like, oh, they're actually pretty good. They can compete. And
you stick it out.
You already give them the hype from that. It's like they've already gone up for that whole situation, I think.
Yeah,
but they are flatlining a little bit.
Is Tej or Nero on a hotter seat if that was the case? Because obviously Methods and Cap aren't going to get dropped.
Tej.
Probably Tej, right?
Tej.
Although, does Methods like Tej? Obviously they like each other a lot.
Yeah, they've been doing, I feel like, forever.
Like, that's a chem question. It's like, that's inner working stuff. So we just don't know enough about
What's so funny about that?
Just how you said that. They've been doing for a while now.
Duoing. I said duoing.
They said they've been doing for a while. I'm like,
Methods
doing for a while.
They've been duoing for a while now.
Boston's 2 wins are against LAG and against Paris. They've lost to FaZe. They've lost to New York. And they lost to OpTic. So,
why do you highlight New York's name like that?
Just
kidding.
Just saying.
Throw it out there.
So I don't know. I like, if you end up losing to Florida, now it's like that's probably a red flag. Not a red flag, but like, you're like, all right, we have to start considering something here. We need to start performing. But I don't think they make a change either. Agreed. But
I don't think they do either yet. But if they do bad at this major, they're gonna be stage 2. Like,
that's where the pressure's on for Tej or for Nero.
They have to pick it up the pace for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so based off our conversation there, is there anyone else that comes to mind? If not, we can kind of rate through some of the guys that we think are on the hot seat right now. So,
I think it's it.
All right. So,
Scum.
It sounds like obviously Felo / John. Both of them are probably the hottest right now.
Yeah.
No surprise there. Are we saying royalties at the next hottest hot seat then?
Of players to look at? Yeah. I do.
You agree, Sam?
I honestly feel like royalties probably might be on a bigger hot seat. But
you think?
See. I don't know. That might just be my own.
Then Felo or John?
Fandom kicking in.
That's fair. I think I would say Felo and John are like, 8 or 9s and royalties at like 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Someone from
someone
Florida.
on Florida is there
Yeah.
next. Which one? I don't really know, but maybe you could make it a tie between Vivid and Dave. One of the two. Maybe like they're both at 6.5s or 7s. And so they're kind of tied there with maybe Royalty's an 8 and they're at 7s.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Priesta.
And then Priesta probably next.
Mhm.
And then maybe Major Maniac.
Yeah.
But I don't think
Even then,
Major
though,
Maniac.
Priest is higher, I think.
Agreed. So Priesta at like a 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other guys are kind of all honorable mentions at that point, like Boston's or Seattle's or anyone else.
Yeah.
So our hot seat officially is Felo and John tied for first. Royalty at 2. Someone on Florida at 3. Either Dave or Vivid. And then at 5/7 is Priesta. So those are kind of the 7 players that are kind of on the hot seat right now with 5 potential changes in the mix. So it is interesting. It is interesting. I think we're going to definitely see some sort of movement after this major. The lottery's up right now for which team it actually end up being.
Tell us what you think in the comments below.
Definitely. Love to hear how you guys rank those players and where your hotness levels on are those guys. So the next little part of here of our talk is like we had it kind of down here is to go through some alternate scenarios, which we already kind of did talk about some of those alternate scenarios, but we wanted to have kind of that hot seat conversation here about some what ifs with this major, because we already kind of went through our predictions. If you didn't see that last week, you can go check out our long conversation last week about the predictions for this. So no spoilers for about 5 more seconds. But Sam, throw out your first what if scenario that you think is actually somewhat interesting here at the major.
Yeah. I mean, one thing is like, what if Paris actually performs well? I mean, what
does perform well mean for Paris? Is that beating this? Probably beating the Surge would be
the
big what if for them.
Yeah, no, I think if they beat Surge and then
it's a close series against either Boston or Florida.
Or
they beat Boston
winning,
or Florida.
Yeah, I was gonna say like winning 2 matches, or I mean, I don't know.
Winning 1 would be massive. Winning 2 would be like, holy crap.
Yeah, that's true. I was gonna say
this
like
is insane.
1 minute be
They're
enough,
doing
but
it.
like,
Holy crap, they did it.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, so I'd say like if like Paris turns it around, like wins the first match and then keeps it close second, that would be a massive W. And then, the question is, do they like go forward with Jimbo, replacing someone or not?
Yeah, that would probably put a pause on Jimbo. If they beat Seattle and then at least kept it close with Florida or Boston, then
if they're competitive like all week and they still win a series or 2, like I think they stick with that roster.
Yeah, I think if they win, if they beat like either Seattle or OpTic, whoever they end up playing first round, I would say 100% they're sticking with that roster at least for a little while.
I agree, because that's like even a top 5 team that they're beating. It's like,
yeah, even if Seattle's at worst 6th, you're like, oh, okay, we just beat a top 6 team.
There's hope. Yeah, like okay, we can compete up there. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it's interesting. I mean, do you think but what's the odds of that happening? That's
extremely
a pretty
low.
long range what if scenario right there.
I don't see it happening except for if GRVTY just goes like sicko mode.
Sicko mode. Oh my word. Yeah. What's your % chance they beat like either Seattle or OpTic? 5.
15%.
10.
Oh, splitting the difference. Okay. Fair enough. The next one I think is interesting is I do like going down that Seattle hole a little bit here. So like if Seattle lost to Paris in that exact situation, I mean, like I said, that could create for a fallout here of a potential roster change in the next 3 weeks.
So true. Like we say, like they're not on the hot seat, but if they get beat, depends how bad they get beat. But if they lose to OpTic and
then they lose to Paris,
and if they lose to Paris and it's close or bad, it's like, okay, we might have taken our wave too high at first.
Right. Like, I mean, again, they beat the Ultra 3-2 in that round 11. Then they beat the Rokkr 3-2 in that round 11.
Mm-hmm.
Then they lost to Florida 3-0. Then they lost to London 3-1. So it's like they'd have 4 straight losses at that point with a loss to Paris in there. Like, that's a legit argument for a potential worry or a roster change in the near future if they come out and struggle at the beginning of stage 2.
Yeah.
So, like, that is something to look out for.
I think they keep it, though. But
yeah, they would give it a little bit more time, but it'd be interesting. So, that's one for sure. Rex, is there a what if scenario that gets you interested? You already mentioned the what if Thieves sucks.
yeah, I think Thieves, seeing more of what their metal is, seeing them play against Ultra is going to be a big match.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they go against Subliners, I think Subliners could eke out a win from Thieves, even in their current state, or from what we know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, again, I think all of us have a pretty good confidence in LA Thieves. So, and we already talked about it a little bit, so I don't think we need to talk about it too much more.
Mhm.
But
even like an average placing though would be kind of scary.
Like they lose to Ultra, then they beat New York, but like, what if they lose to LAG?
Yeah.
Or the Rokkr. Yeah.
Or what if even if they beat LAG, but then they get smoked by OpTic, and you're like, well, we're still stuck.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is if they lose to it also depends how bad are these maps being lost.
Oh, for sure.
But if they get crushed by OpTic, it's different than if they played OpTic close.
Yeah, I think the LAG loss would be more interesting for sure. That is actually an interesting scenario for sure.
LAG,
I think they'll be there,
if they beat Thieves, honestly, I have so much respect for LAG and everybody on that team.
Oh, same.
They really surprised
I desperately want that to happen. I want not that they need to win, but I need to see this matchup, LAG v LA Thieves.
Yeah,
because like it's a really fun matchup now.
Now
with,
it's a real
rosters.
battle of Los Angeles. That's interesting.
Yeah, I know. And like with Slasher coming over there, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And Hook.
Yes.
So no, it's fun for sure. Okay, so I mean OpTic is probably the most interesting team in this tournament in a sense. Just like they're hot. They've played well, 2 series in a row now, beating the Breach, beating Toronto 3-0. And so obviously OpTic fans are feeling themselves. They are ready for this. They're ready to face off against FaZe in round 2. Like they've already, in their minds, they've already beat the Surge. Like it's GG's. But like, so there's 2 scenarios here. What if OpTic's the real deal, which that is very possible.
Mm-hmm.
Or what if this was a flash in the pan, like we've seen a lot from OpTic, and they lose the Surge, and then they maybe win one match, and then they lose in round 2 or 3.
It's like every other major last year too.
So like, what are the 2 narratives? Like, what do you think happens? Like, if they lose, is there any chance of a roster change anytime soon? If they let's say they lose, they go 2-2 in this tournament. They lose, then they win, lose.
No.
I just don't know with OpTic, especially with last year. They're just so dedicated to their guys, which is fine. I'm that's not a knock, but I think they could have average placements again this year. Part of me kind of thinks that that's
All right,
that's
OpTic fans,
the
clip
case.
this in 4 days when OpTic wins.
I think OpTic's going to be the best OpTic we've seen in a long time. I honestly think it's to the players they have, but also the coaches. I think they're going to be a coach like Rambo is going to make a big difference on this.
I
team.
agree. I think in the long term, this team is going to be great, and I legitimately think this could be the real deal team here. I mean, I would say it's very likely that if they don't get top 4 at this major, I'll be very surprised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I wouldn't say surprised, but they have to lose. Like in our scenario, they got top 6, but they lost to LA Thieves in a 3-2. And that was what our bracket said.
Mm-hmm.
And they played it close against FaZe in the winners quarters. So that would be a tough situation. But not that surprising. But they have to show promise. If they get body slammed, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
If they can't show a level of consistency.
Yeah.
Right. They can't just be amazing and then be super bad. Then amazing and then super bad. They need to be ultra. They're always pretty good.
If they come out and
against OpTic.
Win this tournament, I mean, there's a world where they could be insane the rest of the year. Top 3 the rest of the year, no doubt. just dominating teams. Like that's very possible too.
I agree. Except for
especially with
FaZe.
Illy.
Except for FaZe,
So,
I think will always be a competitive matchup.
Agreed. So it'll be interesting. Okay. Any other what ifs that come to mind that you get excited about? I mean, the London top 2 type narrative, where like if London suddenly becomes a mainstay team, top 2, because like this, they could really cement themselves as a top 3 team here if they have a top 3 performance with how well they've been playing the past few weeks. So that would create some new European superstars in the league, and then at that point you'd have 2 top European teams in Ultra and London. Who are like out there competing and or beating FaZe in tournaments like this on LAN. That'd be crazy if that happened.
Yeah.
Creating legit superstars in Afro and Gizmo.
I know. Then if like London like finish out this year strong, like they need to have like a Europe homestand. Oh, it'd be so sick.
No, yeah, literally.
My Europe home
with that many good European players right now, like that would be hype as hell. Oh my word. Goodness.
Give us a European homestand. That would be super cool.
Amen. If you love London, stand up.
If you love London, yeah, no, that was still like one of like the best, like the London crowd's unmatched. Honestly.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing. So, last things here. Let's say which player we've already talked about this a little bit. Let's give. Which player do you personally think is under the most pressure? And if you can come up with one that's not currently on the hot seats, that'd be lit. Illy, from an OpTic fan perception, like if he plays bad at an OpTic homestand on LAN, and like let's say they win one series and they go like 1-2, like OpTic fans would be if they go 1-2, whoever plays bad is gonna be flamed by OpTic fans. So like there's a lot of pressure to play well from all the OpTic guys, but I would say Illy especially for him.
Yeah. You know, I think an interesting one too is, you know, if Ultra don't place well, you kind of wonder if Bance is going to feel the pressure with like Hixie right on the, right on the cusp of coming in too.
Yeah, that's the weird thing is that the irony is that Bance has played great. Like there'd be no reason to really bench Bance. Honestly, the players, at least in the last 2 series that they lost, I mean, it was really Cammy and Insight who weren't playing up to what you'd assume from them. So
yeah,
that's interesting from that perspective. For sure.
Just with having someone like Hixie on your bench, you know?
Yeah. I bet Sib is feeling a lot of pressure. Just from the sense that like they've lost, 2 in a row now. If they lose again here, especially if they lost to Paris, I mean, this would be, at that point now you're like, okay, are we looking at a TK World War II situation here? Where at the beginning of the year and they're going to require roster changes to get back to being elite again? I don't know. So that would be an interesting, because if let's say if Seattle loses this, immediately the TK comparisons are going to start coming out.
Yeah.
This was the best team at the beginning of the game to then not be good for the next 3 months. So that would be interesting.
I mean, we already kind of had those bait tweets with Sib also, where they're like, but I don't even know what that was.
That was ironic. On I think it was like Sunday it was the day we were doing the pod. Sib tweeted at Jimbo and at GRVTY, like something weird. And we are like, is this like some weird tweet here from him? Like, why is he tweeting at them? And then like 5 hours later, it came out that they were, or maybe the next day it came out that, Ultra or the Paris is looking at both those guys. So
wait, what'd he tweet at him anyway?
He tweeted a GIF at both of them, like talk to you soon or something.
Oh,
and
I get it. Now I see why he did that.
And we were like, is there like rumors of Sib potentially getting? We were like kind of talking about it in our chat, like this is weird cryptic tweets from him. Like what in the world? But then it all made sense. So is Simp feeling the pressure?
No, I mean, if you're Simp, maybe
you want to play well. If you're Simp,
like obviously. If you're known as the greatest player to ever have existed, and then
he had a down stage 1,
and
he's the villain now.
People might be kind of like, he might be feeling a little bit of pressure. Like, am I actually as good as I should? I don't think he feels that though. I think he's actually pretty confident.
That's fair,
which is good because he is a great player.
No, yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, fair enough. I think we can kind of like head on to intelligent or relevant here. I mean, long story short, do want to shout out Breaking Point real quick because they're doing their fantasy stuff and they have a good product. And I think when good products are like that, it's worth shouting out because it's good. They're doing their little fantasy pick'ems, and so they're actually really cool. We shout out to your teams, but of course, what we really want to see is your prize picks teams. Is what we really want to see. That's what we really want to see. So
use code BO3POD as the promo code on prize picks.
Amen. That's right. But yeah, they've been doing good stuff. So I see Sam's team here is RSC's Pred 0 and Scump, huh? 0.
Yeah.
It's bold picks there, Sammy.
Bold picks. I think Lennon's going to go pretty far this tournament. And, that's what I got.
I had a team that I liked a lot. Sib, Simp, Hydra, and Cammy. That team's nasty.
Look at you.
That's some upside slaying right there if all things hit. That's what I was kind of aiming for, was just like upside slaying. Like if it all hits.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What was your team, Rex?
I went with Abizi, Draza, Clayster, and Dashi.
That's a fun one.
It is a fun one. It's a little unique spin, but I think it has potential.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that. Well, fair point. Love that from you boys. Let's go on to intelligent or irrelevant, boys. Let's hit it.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
All right, Sam, what do you got for us?
Yeah. So pretty straightforward question.
Okay.
This week, out of the 4 teams starting the losers bracket, who's going the farthest?
Fair enough.
So we have Legion, we have Rokkr, we have Mutineers, and we have Subliners. I'm curious. I have a feeling they're going to say Mutineers.
I think the Rokkr fans are going to come out in form.
You think so? I think those two though. Those two for sure are going to be the top.
Yeah, I mean the Legion are not going to be there, and people are down bad on the Subliners right now.
Yeah,
so
unless Rex has faith and voted 20 times for the Subliners.
4 teams starting the loser. Who's going to make it the farthest?
Yeah. So I think people are going to say Rokkr for sure, but I think people say Rokkr. I would say Mutineers.
Yeah, no, I said Mutineers.
Actually, no. I mean, Rocker's probably the most likely, but I think the Mutineers is the most interesting dark horse.
Okay. Well, wow. Whoa. So, Rokkr, 54%.
Holy, wow. Rokkr fans did come out to play.
Subliners.
No 25%. Way. Rex, how many bot accounts do you have? How many bot accounts do you have?
Wow. Subliners more than the Mutineers.
No,
that's crazy.
Way.
Hashtag stand clear.
People are down on the Mutineers, huh? Jeez.
Okay, I'm just gonna pick out a few here. John Shirk says Tom Gravity Supremacy.
Go Legion.
Ark says with Major it's never chalked. Play as one. Rokkr.
Facts.
Xander says S&D wins chips. Play as one. We have PD Gaming says the best team is the answer. Mutineers aren't reliable enough, and Legion and Subliners aren't good. Rokkr are the only ones you can trust to make a run.
Yeah, so, I think my argument is that the Rokkr is the most likely to go the farthest. The Rokkr is most likely to win 2 series. Who's the most likely to go top 4? I could argue Mutineers. They just catch fire one day or one tournament and just suddenly they're in the top 4. It's like something weird like that could happen, but like
it's kind of with some weird logic, but I kind of understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was shocked about the Subliners though. I'm not gonna lie.
That's interesting.
Well, I think we should look at some Subliners comments. This one's from Razor. Rokkr seem like the favorite to do something most realistic, but gotta give it to Subliners on land. They'll turn up, and especially Krim reminding everyone that he may forgive, but he'll never forget. Nice.
Love that.
But I'll never forget.
That was actually really good. Like that from you, Sam.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say overall intelligent. That makes a lot of sense there from the boys and girls.
Nah, I'd say irrelevant.
That's
Honestly.
Yes.
intelligent for sure. Rokkr, 54%.
Man.
Subliners, second. Makes sense.
That's basically it for the pod. I did want to say, if you guys watched that formal podcast with Hex, that was
I
actually
did.
a banger pod, and I liked some of his comments about Major Maniac on the Rokkr conversation, on which we had actually talked about on the podcast last year. But you know, neither here nor there. And I did a breakdown of some of those best plays from champs. You know, neither here nor there. But I'm sure Formal watches. But it was a really good pod,
Absolutely
actually.
does.
Big fan. It was a really like Formal. I love how Formal talks. Like on that pod, it's like he talks like he's this like. How he frames things is like really, really smart, but he says them in all COD terms, only COD terms, or like gamer terms.
He
And
is
so it's
like the ultimate gamer terms guy.
Yeah, like he talks like he's really like if he just replaced his gamer terms with like, let's say like
Vocabulary.
insert normal human words here, he would sound really smart, but because he uses gamer terms, it just sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
So it's like I really like listening to how Formal talks. It's hilarious.
I mean, yeah, I think it's great. I think Formal is one of my favorite people like to listen to over there about like just that type of stuff, like competitive gaming, all that. Like I think he just has some really good insight.
Well, they had a whole conversation about how about tipping and like complimenting people. Like it was a whole like psychoanalysis on culture, but he only used the vocab word. People just want to be tipped, man. That was tippable.
Yeah.
Like it's tippable. But like it's really just about like generally looking for compliments and seeking appraisal of others. But like just how he used tippable the whole time was
It's so hard
so
because like
funny.
obviously like Formal is like my idol, but I can't stand like the like generic COD language where
COD
it's
lingo.
like, oh my gosh, like can we please like get other words?
That was so funny. I thought it was hilarious. But
can we talk about how Hex was before he started OpTic? He was scamming people with housing.
with 100% the housing
house
market,
loan.
man.
I don't know. I'm
mean,
debating right now. I don't know what he's doing.
that was more
Definitely
just
came off.
No, Formal was egging that on actually really well on that pod. That was funny.
I was like, dude,
No
so
free
true.
shout outs,
Exactly
of
what I
course.
was thinking.
no free shout outs.
Some
But
shady
speaking of
shit was
shout
happening
outs,
over there.
Prize Picks, use code BEST3POD to get, a double your deposit, which is actually so fire.
Thank you.
And so if you put in 50, you get 100, you get another 50, so you have $100. It's actually really cool. So use the code there, support us, which is why it's actually really cool. You can really support us by doing it. It's the best way to support the podcast. If you guys really, really support us, go put $5 on a game or something and like have some fun making a pick with Prize Picks. And that supports us in a big way as well. So we appreciate that. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you guys did, drop your comments down below. Hit that 5-star review of a podcast. But as always, guys, I'm Josh. Obviously, to my right was Bastard Bo3. To our final right per usual was Rex, ShadyNero. And guys, we will see you
I'm still here.
next time.
BO3 Pod promo code.
We out.